Hello and welcome back to the Football Heritage podcast. I'm your host, Rory Bryce, and today I'm joined by three fanatic supporters of Bursaspor in Turkey. I'm joined first of all by Uygar.
Hello, guys. Nice to meet you here.
Nice of you to come on as well, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm also joined by Jaffer.
Hello guys, nice to meet you too.
Good to meet you as well, mate. And lastly, I'm joined by Fatih as well. Fatih, how are you? Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm fine. Thank you. Hope you guys are fine too.
All good here, and really looking forward to talking about this football club, which many people might know. I think it's fair to say because of the stadium, right? We've all seen the photos of that giant crocodile stadium in the middle of a city. It's become a bit, well, it is iconic now, and more recently, it gained a bit more attention because the stadium, I think, was full of about 40,000 fans for what was a fourth division or fourth tier game in Turkey, which anywhere else in the world is pretty unheard of. Like, let's be completely honest. And it's all because of the fascinating story behind Bursaspor and their attempt to rise back up the leagues from what has been a pretty turbulent few years. And these three gentlemen are here with me today to talk about their experiences of following the football club and to talk a little bit about the history of the club as well. But just before we kick things off, start with yourself, Uygar. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. My name is Uygar, live in London, born and raised in Bursa, and moved here 18 years ago. Still following Bursaspor, still supporting Bursaspor, even if we are in the fourth tier, and happy to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for coming. That's that's all we really want. We want fans of the club on, and it sounds like you've been following the club for a very long time, even though you've been based away from Bursa for a number of years, so that's good. Jaffer, your turn. Tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Hi, my name is Jaffer. Currently living in Munich, Germany, and moved here also around 15 years back. Also raised in Bursa, where I started to be a Bursaspor fan. And despite the distance, I try to go and follow with all the games, despite being on the fourth tier of Turkish league.
Good. That's very impressive, and that is something that is going to kind of take the centrepiece of our conversation as well, with fanatic support surrounding the club despite being in the fourth tier. Before we do that, Fatih, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Fatih, as I said. I live in the near of Cologne in Germany. I was born here, but lived a few years in Bursa, nearby the Atatürk Stadium, in our old stadium. And therefore, it was normal that I got to be and I must have to be a Bursaspor supporter. I didn't have a choice.
You're born with that.
Yeah, you're born with it, and that's. The majority of football fans are, of course, born with whatever club they support. For the most part, anyway. I know you get exceptions, like in London, there's a lot of United and Liverpool supporters. Manchester United, I should say, and stuff like that. And of course, the clubs in Turkey that anyone would expect any Turkish fan to support would be, of course, Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, and Beşiktaş, and there's Başakşehir here as well. But Bursaspor and other clubs in Turkey have a very loyal following. On recent episodes, we've been talking a little bit about how there's not a lot of locality in the leagues that we've been discussing. Portugal being one of them. That was an episode that came out with Miguel Pereira. Sometimes that locality just doesn't exist, but Turkish fans and Turkish football isn't like that. And this is what's great about Bursaspor, is that despite being in the fourth tier, the club is still attracting huge crowds and still has a very fanatic following. And this episode is going to be all about their story and how that happened. Some of our listeners might be aware of Bursaspor because in 2009-2010, they won the Super League title in Turkey, which was the second time a club out with...
The first time.
First time. Yeah. Well, it was certainly the first time, the first league title that the club had won, but was it the second time that a club out with the big three clubs in Turkey had actually won a league title?
Correct.
Yeah. So obviously, huge. That's monumental history being made right there. It was a great time for the club, but unfortunately, things haven't been so good in the aftermath of that, and we're going to be jumping into all the reasons why. But let's just start from the very beginning with the history of the football club. Has the club always attracted these supporters within Bursa? Has it always been the place where Bursa supporters go, or have supporters of Bursa flocked to Istanbul and the clubs there?
First, we need to start from the city of Bursa, and the Bursa is a city, not many people know. It's the fourth biggest city in the country, very close to Istanbul, 1 hour drive in the northwest part of the country, and all immigrants from Ottoman times. It's the first capital of Ottoman Empire, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and after 1920s, all immigrants from the Balkans, when the Ottoman Empire collapsed, from Greece, Balkans, all ex-Yugoslavian countries, they moved back to Bursa. The football is part of the culture. I mean, the city is famous with their industry, very industrial city, and rich history. However, it's a football city. People, they live with the football, generations and generations. I remember I was going to the game with my uncle when I was 6 years old, and I wasn't into football at all back in the time. I had no interest. However, you feel in your blood. And Bursa is a very specific city. If you look to the Turkish football, as you mentioned before, the profile of the fans are funny because everybody supports, they call them big three from Istanbul: Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, and Galatasaray. And Bursa is the one of the first city in the country, in my opinion, after Trabzonspor as well, who was, it's like a revolutionary movie. I mean, a movement again is, hey, there are other teams in the fucking country as well. Why we need to follow only three? I remember, Rory, back in the time, I was watching TV. To be a Bursaspor fan when I was a kid, it's so tough because you watch the TV, right?
Yeah.
They have like our match of the day over there. You wait hours. There's no live broadcast. There is nothing. You wait to see 10 seconds of your fucking team's clip over there,
Yeah.
and you're at the end. I mean, they talk about the three teams all the time. Beşiktaş did this, Fenerbahçe did this. You wait 1 hour, 2 hours till at the end, only for that 10 seconds of clip to see if you scored or not. Same story for the newspapers as well. You open the newspaper, last pages, one page for Fenerbahçe, one page for Galatasaray, one page for Beşiktaş. If you are lucky, there's one tiny column tells the story about your bloody team. That pissed us off. I mean, why I need to treat like that? So Bursaspor, in my opinion, is a part of this revolution. And if we go back to history tiny bit, in 1963, Bursaspor is the combination, the merge of five local teams. They decided, okay, we need to merge and we need to call a team called Bursaspor. And we picked the colors like Celtic, green and white. The reason behind there's a massive mountain, snows all the time, called Uludağ. The white color comes from that, and the city of Bursa is extremely, that used to be a very green, very beautiful place. And they said, okay, let's combine those two colors and pick our colors. This is how it started. And I think in 1967 we started to go to the top flight, and this story started.
That's a great way to kick things off. It's a brilliant insight into the culture of Turkish football, the kind of profile of the supporters and the profile of Bursaspor as well. I think that's it's given me, it will certainly have given our listeners a great insight into how the club is. But of course, throughout history, when Bursaspor was founded in the 60s, obviously, as you say, the merger between five clubs, we've spoken about that on the show before. There can be different issues around that as well, but obviously it was with the intention of having one representative club for the city of Bursa, which is what they've done. But it took a while for any form of success to come. But despite the club not being necessarily successful, they got to the top flight, they still act as a representative for the people of Bursa, and that's what draws people
Correct.
to them. And it's very much in the vein of, for example, I would say perhaps Aberdeen or Porto,
Yeah.
where it's sort of one club in the city. They stand on their own 2 feet, a very distinct identity, very much removed from what would be, Aberdeen from Glasgow or Porto from Lisbon or Bursa with Istanbul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I want to say, like, at that time, even 19s, there was only news maybe in 10 seconds, but once you are going out of the street, like in Bursa, it's everywhere green and white. So
Yeah.
even like there, like every second or third restaurant would call it Bursaspor restaurant or like, coffee. So, but I mean, the city was, despite like the media, like fan, and it was actually also good for the kids at that time. So they were exposed this colors and this theme on the streets.
In the late 80s, I went back to Germany to my parents, and as even Uygar said, we didn't get any messages. Here in Germany, it was much difficult than in Turkey to get informations. I got a little radio, and even told about the matches in conference. And we stand there with that radio. Oh man! Oh yeah, goal! Is it in Bursa? No, it was in Istanbul. Shit! And it was so difficult, it was a bad time, yes, but we started the revolution, as Uygar said.
I remember a moment I was watching a live game. I don't know which year was that. The commentator was, I think we were playing against Galatasaray or Beşiktaş, I don't remember. When they scored, he was yelling like maniac, go on! And Bursaspor scored. I did notice, I never forget that. It's like an international game, England playing Argentina or something like that. The commentator was, and Bursaspor scored. I said, what the fuck, man? This is ridiculous. We are in the same league. I mean, it's a team from Turkey as well. Why you treat us like that? It
Yeah.
pissed me off so much, man.
It's funny because this is like what people say. Obviously, I'm a Celtic supporter, and this is what a lot of Scottish supporters say about playing one of Celtic or Rangers whenever they play it. The big teams get the big calls, and I'd be lying if I say there probably wasn't an element of that. So it's good to see that it's not just something that exists within Scottish football or English football. The commentators have their clear biases.
It's everywhere, man.
It's everywhere, exactly. So it sounds like the club absolutely lives and breathes the city, and the city absolutely lives and breathes the club, and I love that. And again, like I'm trying to think of examples that come to my mind. Sunderland's probably another one that kind of encapsulates it really well. Just like a city that absolutely has an undying love and fanatical support for their club. Even better when it's a one club city, of course, which makes it really, really special. And when you come up against teams from Istanbul, it must just be such an incredible feeling going up against them when you know you're up against it, but that you are one city, you're with your people, you're all singing from the same hymn sheet, flying the same banner. It must be brilliant being a part of that support when games like that are going on.
I mean, eventually the Istanbul games are always more special. Bursaspor has a very weird relationship, a team called Beşiktaş, which technically we don't like each other. They don't like us, we don't like them. So any team comes from Istanbul play in Bursa, it's a big thing. When I used to live in Bursa, I remember the weekends, they were super special for me because I made friends because of Bursaspor. I met with people. Do you remember the song called Weekend Warrior, Iron Maiden? I was working during Monday to Friday and waiting, looking forward for the weekend to meet my friends. We used to drink. There was a park next to the stadium. We used to drink beers over there, thinking about what we're gonna sing, what we're gonna do. It wasn't a football for us. It was a community thing. We were talking. Okay, my week was like that. I did this. Oh, they're coming. Let's do that kind of banner show or something like that. And the entire city was like it was an exciting moment for us when there is a football home game in Bursa back in the time. I'm sure it's still similar now. However, it was special, especially if there's a team coming from Istanbul. It was a special day for us.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that though. Like something that I've mentioned in this podcast before has been, like our match day rituals and how they're a massive part of our football experience and our football culture. And I don't think enough is really made about that very often, that it's not just a 90 minutes game of football where people like turn on a switch and then they shout loud and sing for 90 minutes and then turn it back off again. Like you said, you go to the park, you drink beers with your friends, you make banners, you decide what you're going to sing. If it's a big game like a derby match, days before it, weeks before it, there's build up to it. Like match day rituals are a huge part of what makes football special for us supporters as well. It's part of our fan culture.
It is. That makes it unique and special. Jafar has a really interesting story about match day rituals. Do you remember the story? One part goes to the mosque, one part goes to the pub.
So I was really liking to go to the away games, and it was always like for me like difficult. There was different fan bases. Some are like religious. Some are like Uygar like wants to meet, drink beer before that. And I was living also close to the stadium, and it was every time like this. A group are meeting in the mosque for morning prayer. Afterwards, they head to the stadium, to the city, and others like meeting for a beer in the park where William mentioned before. And but at the end, they were like meeting all together in the same stadium and supporting the club. So
Bursaspor was the thing united us. I mean, doesn't matter you drink or not, or your political view. I don't care about that. The only way to put us together from different profiles of people was Bursaspor. So that's always unique for me. I mean, it was an amazing experience. Still, it is actually.
The club's a bit of a religion in itself. Any football club is, and any fan group will say the same.
No, I don't know, Rory, if it's similar in Europe, but Bursa has a real interesting cultural structure. These part who go to the mosque are very, very conservative. I mean conservative, yeah. And then there are people like us or other people in the other supporters who are very left wing. But in the stadium, it was everyone was similar. It doesn't matter, even if you was right, left, or if you are religious or not, if you drink beer or you go praying, fuck off. Nothing matters.
It was good. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, and it is interesting because it's funny because, you know, well, Celtic and Rangers, obviously, if you say you support one of those clubs, then you're very much declaring other things about your life that you might believe, or a religion, and, you know, to be specific, that you probably take part in or have been brought up around. Not always. You can't tar everyone with the same brush, you understand, but broadly speaking, you know, if you're a Celtic fan, you're probably a little bit more left-leaning. If you're a Rangers fan, you're, you know, a bit more unionist in that kind of thing. And it's the same with other football clubs in Europe. But you're right, Fatih, I'm not too sure. One club that comes to mind is Union Berlin. Possibly they have that bit of a, we don't care, this is a safe space, come, drink a beer, have a party, forget about everything else for a bit. That's one club that springs to mind. We also done an episode on them, of course, with Kit Holden. It was a really, really interesting conversation. And football clubs like that fascinate me because it's, like you said, it's such a unifying thing to be able to bring people together like that.
In Union Berlin, you are right. There are many, many skinheads. With skinheads, I mean right-wing skinheads, very racist people. And on the other side, you have extremely left people. This is very, very tragic, I think. It's most difficult. Those people who fight each other on the street, in the stadium, they are the same. Doesn't matter.
It's crazy. But I've been reading a book, well, I read a book recently by James Montague, who wrote Among the Ultras. He also released a book and re-released it this year, a next edition called When Friday Comes, which explores football's role within the Arab Spring and within other Middle Eastern nations. And just when you said there, Jaffer, it just reminded me that when he says, you know, those guys play on a Friday, and when the call to prayer takes place, he was stood in the stadium and all of a sudden everyone was down praying, and I'm like, that must be an incredible sight at a football game, you know?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nuts. But I mean, obviously, you guys have been long-time supporters of Bursaspor, so tell me about the league title win. Let's start talking about this incredible journey that the club has been on in the last sort of 15 years from that title win up to now, because, well, at the time, it must have been absolutely incredible. I mean, we all know what happens after that, but, you know, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the title winning season.
That's it's, I think it's in Turkish football history, one of the most greatest underdog story in entire league. I mean, none of us knew what does it mean being champions. Let's be honest. I mean, we had no idea. I was in London. That season we were booming. Jafar was in Germany, Fatih was in Germany, and we were following every single game. No one was expecting we're gonna win the league, anyways, including us. I mean, I'll be honest with you, but I mean, and the middle of the season, everything is going well. We have a chance. We are doing good. The team is cracking on. I mean, we have an Argentinian playmaker, Pablo Martin Batasha. He was amazing. But not only one person, the entire team was. We had Volkan Şen, Sercan Yıldırım. They all coming from the Bursaspor Academy. I mean, this is our boys. I mean, this is our team. And I was just checking the statistics on that season. 14 different players they scored. So it was a teamwork. It was not relying on one person, which was amazing. And we were watching the games. We were gathering in North London, going to the pub, watching every single game. And the last game came. Again, it's Beşiktaş eventually. And I said to my wife, I need to go. I mean, this is something you can see one first and the last time in your life. I mean, I need to be there. And she was so nice. She said, Jennifer, she said, my wife's name is Jennifer. She said, okay, go. We landed. I think we went just alone from London. We went 100 people or something like that. Stansted Airport was like fucking Bursa. Everywhere is green and white. It was amazing, and we landed. I don't remember so many details about that day. I was drunk, and it was very interesting. What I remember is we were playing with Besiktas. Everybody's in the stadium, very excited. Everyone is so excited. We are winning 2-0. We smashing Besiktas. But in the same time, Fenerbahce was playing with Trabzonspor. So Fenerbahce has to win as well. And the game was draw 1-1. We winning 2-0. Besiktas scored 2-1. Shit, what's going on? And the game is about to finish. Still 1-1. And 90 minutes is over. Entire stadium, 30,000 people. Everybody's quiet because we need to wait for the other game to finish. And it is 1-1. It's in Istanbul, in Fenerbahce Stadium. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And we don't have that fancy mobile phones back in the time. I remember an old man, old uncle, he's carrying this old style radio with him and listening the game. He was shouting, still 1-1, still 1-1. But entire stadium roaring. It's unbelievable. No one is talking. No one is fucking talking. We are just waiting. And the funny thing is, someone in Istanbul, they play an extra time, right? In Fenerbahce Stadium. Boys, if I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, please correct. And they said Besiktas scored. It's 2-2. And those idiots, they thought they won the title and they started to celebrate. And the entire fans, they were on the pitch, they were making jokes about Bursaspor and this. Then they decided, hey, we got the wrong information. The Bursaspor won. And after that, they burned the entire stadium. That's a different story. But we are not here to talk about their stupidness. And the old man, he told us, okay, game is over, we won. I looked to my friend Numan. I said, okay, so what we gonna do? He said, I fucking don't know. I never won the title. My team never won the title. I don't know what to do. I said, I think we should celebrate. And I remember we jumped on the pitch. We were just dancing, jumping. Everybody was hugging each other. We were all bloody crying. Everyone was crying. Entire stadium hugging each other. It still gives me the goosebumps to think about that day. It's an experience you will never get in your life. I mean, it's mad. I mean, I'm not going to destroy that amazing moment. I'm sure, boys, they would like to say something about that as well. It was amazing.
I mean, this is this typical Bursa where it's an underdog and it makes you so happy in an unexpected moment. And my story about the 16th of May 2010 was I was in Frankfurt. I was living close by Frankfurt, but I went to Frankfurt to meet maybe some people, and I was near that time in the city. And all the game, I just tried to find a bar which was stream the game, but they all were streaming Fenerbahce Trabzonspor game, so I could not watch the Bursaspor game. Bursa was like at the end there was the champion, and with another friend we just went through the city. We made a two-person parade, screaming, shouting, and the people were looking at us.
Amazing.
Yes,
Very good.
amazing.
It was similar. I was here in Cologne, but I was in a pub where they showed both matches, the Fenerbahce Trabzon and Bursaspor Beşiktaş. But I didn't watch our game. I I was only focused on that game in Istanbul. And at the last minutes, my brother said, "Hey, we have won, we have won. How it stands in Fenerbahce?" I don't know. They go crazy in the stadium. They think they are champions. No, we are the champions. So I was like, so watch there. What happens here? So it was crazy. And then similar like Jaffa, we were around about 10, 15, 20 people, and we were drunk and watched it. But there were some, and that was very interesting, some German people I didn't ever see in my life before. They supported with us, Bursaspor. They were in the pub, they supported with us, and they drank with us. And at the end, they had pyro. It was very special. I found it very, very, very special emotion. So it was crazy.
It was the revolution in Anatolia. Anatolia is the Asian part of Turkey, how we call it. And I remember most of my friends who supports Eskişehirspor, Sakaryaspor, all underdog teams. They were cheering for Bursaspor back in the time because what we showed to the country, hey, this league is not only three teams. There are other teams. They have a chance. They can win as well. It was a clear, massive message to the entire country, and this motivated a lot of team in the Anatolian part of the country. And they said, "Hey, Bursaspor did it. Why not us?" They didn't manage yet, but however, somebody is going to. I mean, I'm not counting the Istanbul little team. I don't even remember their name who won the Başakşehir. However, it's motivated the entire country that it's doable. It's not that difficult.
The whole country celebrated with us. It's a fact, and it was very special.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love these stories of, Jaffer, two-man parade down the street, colours, everything, flags out. Fatih a little bit more 15, but it's like those special moments when you don't stay in your home, and then you've got these parts of home with you always. And it's the most German thing ever that they then join German handball. It's absolutely amazing. But just to come back to something that you said, Uygar, I think one of my favourite parts of this is, like you said, there was a lot of academy players, a lot of boys from Bursa involved in this squad, and that's what it's. And this is the thing, right? Because in this era of modern football, right, it's becoming even more rare that shocks like this happen within leagues. Of course it can, but people are forgetting that it can. And a lot of people, when they see successes like this, they immediately jump to, oh, who was it that was giving them money? So they couldn't have won this unless they had money. But if you've got a team full of players from the academy, and I mean, look, Leicester done it as well. Leicester done it only 6 years after. It can happen. But I think, there's these little kind of extra elements, little intangible parts of it that add up into being such a fairy tale. I think the academy player aspect, and with so many local players, guys from Bursa being a part of the squad is what makes it just a little bit more special.
That changes everything. If you look to the cost wise, I'm not going to go to the business aspects of the entire organization. However, those people, I mean, Bursaspor used to be very famous about their academy. We were like factory who is creating a lot of talented young players and selling them to the big teams and making money, not investing back. I'll be honest with you. I mean, we sold a lot of really good players to the other teams internationally as well.
Hakan Şükür
Hakan Şükür, for example, is a great example. And Enes, who's playing for Bournemouth now, and there are a couple of players. When you have those boys in your team, they don't play for money. They play for their pride. They play for their city. So the amount of effort you're taking from them is way different. The energy, everything is there, more dedicated. So which was a great advantage for Bursaspor back in the time.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the thing. Is these guys get what it means because they're from the city. They probably support the club, and even if they don't support the club, they'll still know what Bursaspor means to Bursa and the people of Bursa. And people might see it as a bit of an intangible, but that gives you an edge. I think having that kind of cultural understanding of what it is you're playing for gives you an edge over other opponents, particularly those who maybe don't have a lot of academy players on their side, and so on and so forth. It's just one of those things that comes with being a fan. And again, I mean, you guys will be better placed to tell me. Obviously, the founding of Başakşehir kind of coming to the fore maybe changes things slightly, but it's unlikely that another club out with the big three will do this for some amount of time.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, also on the other hand, think about that. You do something impossible, you show it to people, and next year you're gonna play in the Champions League, which is for these kids. Imagine how amazing is that. You're gonna play against Manchester United, Glasgow Rangers, and what was the other team? Valencia. It was mad. I mean, I will show myself. I mean, I will do whatever I'm doing. I will do 200, 300 more to achieve that. Yeah.
I mean, this entry song with this big Champions League flag, like this moment where they like, imagine this flag will come to Bursa. Like everyone was so excited.
Yeah, just to hear the the anthem of the Champions League in Bursa Atatürk Stadium is it's mad. I mean, I have I still have the video from that moment, and I went to the Glasgow Rangers away game. I went to the Manchester United game. You are in Manchester United. You're at Old Trafford. Your team is there. I mean, how mad is that? I mean, you playing against Rooney, and there's and Barbato, he was in the Manchester United that year, I remember, and Paul Scholes. It's mad. I mean, just wow.
The last international success was around about 14 years ago at the UI Cup, 1996. I mean, and therefore 14 years without any success. We always relegated to the second division in the time between, and then 2006. I mean, we came to Super League, and 3 years later we were champions in the Super League. It's crazy, and then Champions League, and oh yeah, that was more than only loco.
Really incredible away days there. I mean, Ibrox, as much as I have my biases, it's meant to be a good away day. Old Trafford, it's an iconic stadium you want to go, and then Valencia, don't need to put into words how going to see the Mestalla must have been incredible. Like one of football's iconic venues. I hate to move on and bring the mood down, but there's a reason that we're having this conversation, and it's because, as I said at the beginning, 40,000 fans turned out to a Turkish fourth-tier game to see Bursaspor. So, 15 years on, the club is in the fourth tier. How does that happen?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
Yeah. I guess not only one reason why it went down. One of the topic was, of course, when you check the numbers, I guess in between 50 years we had more than 15 different presidents. So and every time, and they were coming with different ideas, and so on the other hand side, when we check the financials till 2015-16, Bursaspor was like a club where they had some incomes with this transfer fees from the youth academy, but from 2016 on it went down and drastically. And I guess I don't know the latest numbers, but around 5 years back we had a debt of more than 60 million euros, where our budget for 1 year was less than 5 million euros. So it was a huge debt, and there was different ideas to rescue the team, to announce bankruptcy, but the club or the fans didn't accept it. They didn't even want to change the name of the club or the logo. And by beginning of last season, as we relegated to the fourth tier, there was a new initiative, a president with a good team. They actually start to fire to say, let's come together. This is not the place where we need to be. And the whole city came together. There was lots of donations from different people, everyone, from a single normal fan who has a minimum wage. They even did, I don't know, 10 euros or less donation, and with that support of the team, the fans, and we started, now we would be on the third tier. But yeah, to summarize, mismanagement and lots of debt. So I was looking for the annual reports of the team, and Bursaspor had lots of real estates also in the city, where they had also very good passive income, and they decided to sell them also out. So and there was a decision from 2018 on, they started to sell them as well. So and where they didn't even getting also such incomes there. And now, I guess as of now, there is no debt, but there is no fortune on it. But we have a good team and also the good fan team, I guess, and it is now a start.
I think everything started in 2013 when the president, Ibrahim Yazıcı, passed away. This is the guy who we won the title with. He was a really good businessman in the city, very well known personality in the city. and he was managing club very well, in my opinion. But what happened after he passed away? The problem is, this is my personal opinion, in Turkish football clubs, they are they're not running as business. It is very different than what we have here. It's like charities. The management changes every 3 4 years. The wealthy people of the city comes together. They put some money, but there is no professionals. There is no long-term planning. Everything is short-term planning, and we need to consider that there is a economical and political instability in the country as well that affects to the all economical movements in the club wise, and everybody came with the different ideas, as Jafar said. One crazy guy, he said, okay, we have, I think the debt is about, that was about 10 million pounds or something like that, which is nothing crazy. However, for a club like Bursaspor is a massive amount. He said, okay, let's bankrupt the club, and let's set up a new company, and let's go from there. And all I remember, everybody say, "What the fuck? I mean, this is ridiculous. That we adore ourselves to this name, to the club's name. Well, how are we gonna call it? I mean, I mean, it's mad." But everybody was trying to come with the idea. So many ridiculous management mistakes they have done. And on the other hand, Bursa is a very wealthy city, very industrial. I mean, it's not middle of nowhere. There is always an income you can generate from that potential. We're talking about 3 million, 4 million people. There's a massive business opportunity over there. But those idiots, they didn't manage to reach and promote club and save the economics. And then the free fall started. I mean, 2019 to this tier 2, 2022 to the third tier, 2024 to the bottom. It's mad. I mean, I wasn't able to follow because we were going down like crazy. I mean, it's impossible, and it makes you sad, to be honest. We are not get used to be on those leagues. I mean, if you talk to any Turkish person, if you say Bursaspor, they will always remember, okay, it's a top tier league team, but look at us now. This, it's, yeah, mad, yeah.
I would like to add something. 2013, as Ibrahim Yazıcı died, he died, by the way, on a heart attack during a game, during a match. He identified himself very, very strongly with the club, and I think the president and the managers after him, they had only their own money and.
Yeah.
Forget
No,
it.
no, I understand.
It makes me angry. Sorry.
Yeah, they had their own agenda and their own interests at heart, so not that of the club or the supporters of the city.
For example, they bought players who were on the market for 2 million euro, for example, for 4, 5, 6 million. And the managers of the players get a part of the rest, and the president get a part of the rest, and
Okay.
some other people get the part of
Right.
it, and therefore it's mismanagement, like we
It's,
said.
yeah,
Yes.
that's absolutely mismanagement. It's driving the club into the ground. Yeah, just you get these rogue owners that crop up, and this is what ends up happening, and it's tragic because, yeah, I mean, as you say, Uygar, the club, ended up in the 4th division. But I think what's endearing about this story in some ways, a bit of a silver lining, is that the club didn't refound. It didn't start from, for example, 2013. They decided to keep going. And it was the fans that really pushed back on that because they wanted to keep the traditions and the current club as it is alive.
I mean, we were talking with a couple of friends before. When we hit the rock bottom, it makes you aware that shit is hitting the fan and you need to do something. We had same feeling when we relegated to the second division, first time in our history, which was when was that? 2001 or something?
2004.
Yeah, I remember all city became one, and I remember we were going even the away games all together to support the team. I've seen that passion in this city, and everybody was laughing at us or other team fans. Hey, you are in the second league, da da da, etc. But we were blaming. We said, you know what? We will come back. And after how many years? 4, 5 years, 6 years, we won the title. I see the same potential at the moment in this city. I see that young generations, they are started to support. I see little kids, they wearing Bursaspor t-shirts. which makes me happy. It's potential. I see the people from different. It's very diverse country. People from different and the categories or titles, they becoming together because they realize that, hey, this is the end. If we don't do anything, this club is going to disappear. I mean, we need to do something, and which is amazing. Last year we did something. This season, actually, we are a part of a group called Bursaspor Europe and UK. It's just a France group. We're trying to unite the Bursaspor fans across to Europe. We raised money for 500 tickets, season tickets, and we bought and give it to the club. The main motto was pass those season tickets every game to a primary school in the city, which those kids they never seen Bursaspor in their life. So what club did is they organize the bus, they bring them every home game. Every home game, there's a 500 kids, potential customers, potential Bursaspor fans. They learn in the Bursaspor, they see those teams. So this spirit, and it's covering the entire city, and it is getting better. I mean, the new president, he's a young guy. He united the city. Everybody is believing that. I know. I mean, it's funny to be that passionate in that fourth tier, maybe. However, we played the games full stadium, minimum 41,000 people. It's mad. I mean, nobody believes that, and that shows how much people are okay. We hit the rock bottom. However, there is a chance, very high chance. We believe in this team, and we're gonna go up.
Yeah, that's how you inspire new supporters. That's how you get new supporters on board. How you continue growing the fan base. And I think when things like these kind of tragedies unfold at a football club, it's these type of things that show them that despite all of the mismanagement and despite the distrust that was sown, despite the your connection and identity with the club being tarnished or severed or hindered somewhat, it shows that there are people that are willing to right these wrongs, but that people are ultimately they're not supporting one particular chairman, they're not supporting one particular president, they support the football club, and as long as the football
Correct.
club exists, they will always put their resources and their passion behind the club, which is, I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's good feeling, man. It's just, I mean, it's upsetting to see the team in this level. However, it gives me hope that okay, everybody is united again,
Mm.
and the club management is way better. I have to say. I mean, I always very judgmental about the sports management in the country. They run it very unprofessionally. However, this new management, they know their mistakes. They trying to change the things. The problem in Turkey is the politics very involved with football, because the football is a way of controlling people in somehow they call it, and always they try to get them. I hate politics. I hate when I see the politics involved with the sports, specifically for football. However, this guy, what he did is he united every different parts and the ideas together and trying to make it working. So what we need to do to support what he's doing and get united and keep fighting.
Even the most of the people in Bursa were very disappointed in the last years, and therefore the chairman there didn't get the support the chairman now has. You know, it's a point I think which is very important to say because he unites us, and it's we have hope. I think in 6 years roundabout we are champions again in this
We have a long-term plan.
A long way to go, but I mean, it sounds like the club has stabilised a little bit, and it's come from this kind of drive to get the city behind the club again. So that's step one to making your way back to Division One and back to the Championship, as Fatih mentioned there. And yeah, I mean, as we've mentioned throughout, this is where this has kind of come from. So by the time this episode's released, I think it will have been out for maybe about a month or so since these posts started going around on X and other social medias about how 45,000 fans turned out for Bursaspor at a fourth tier game. And you'll get these situations across the world where you have the really passionate fan base of a club in a one club city who have a very big football and culture already. They couldn't get anywhere near 45,000 fans. I mean,
Easy.
again, Rangers off the top of my head, when they were liquidated and had to start again from the bottom division in the Scottish professional football leagues,
Yeah.
they weren't getting 45,000, and that's with the support of Rangers. Do you know what I mean? It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, I can't think of any comparable example.
We have a saying back home. I'll say it in Turkish first. Kaldırımda olsa bile destekleriz, which means we're gonna support this team even if they play on the street. I mean, that shows how much we believe in the team. Of course, as a fan, you need some action. You need to see some hope. And this year, people they started to see that. Imagine the capacity of the stadium is 43,000, if I'm not wrong. Entire season, our average attendance is 41,000. It is mad. If you and it's fourth division, and if you compare it with the top league of Turkey, I think the who is ahead is Galatasaray. I'm checking my
Yeah,
notes.
we are second after Galatasaray.
We are second after Galatasaray, and all other teams, their average attendance is way lower than Bursaspor. That shows the faith. I mean, that shows the how much they believe. And I'm repeating again, this team, even if they stay in this league a couple of more years, as long as the fans they see they try, they gonna support. I mean, it's wherever they go. I mean, our fans they go away games 2,000, 3,000 people, even if it's on the other side of the country. And sometimes away team managements they give 100 tickets, and they end up going 1,000 people there, and they fight outside to get inside the stadium, and we follow wherever they go. I mean, it doesn't matter they are in the top division or not, but hopefully we will get the benefit. I mean, they put all this effort together. Hopefully we'll go back again.
Now we are talking about 45,000, but I know that in the last game of this season, I talked with some of friends, they couldn't find even tickets, so they wanted to go, but they couldn't.
Because
Yeah,
we sold 33,000 season tickets entire this season.
Incredible.
The capacity is 43. I mean, it's difficult. And the club did something smart. They started to sell next season's season tickets as a pre-sale. If I'm not wrong, we sold 24,000 already.
Incredible.
And season tickets, even me, I know I will go only one game. I have the fucking season ticket just to support the club. And every game, home game, what I'm doing, I'm posting on Twitter. I say, hey, I have a season ticket in this number. If you donate any money and prove to me, to the Bursaspor Football Club, I'll transfer it to you. And I'm not the only one who is doing this madness. Everybody is doing the same.
That's amazing. Absolutely love it. And I mean, it must make it that bit easier that you guys have one of the most unique and iconic stadiums in world football at the moment.
This stadium.
And we'll put images up to it on our social medias. But I mean, our listeners will know exactly what it is. It's a stadium that is designed to look like a giant crocodile in the middle of Bursa. It's I mean, it's unique. It's unique. It's mental. It's crazy.
I think we need to remind them quickly why we call it crocodiles, actually, because there is no crocodile in Bursa, even in Turkey. It's impossible to find one. And the club used to call Yeşil İnciler, means green pearls, all right? The nickname was Green Pearls. In 1990s, there is a crazy guy in Bursa called Lemi Keskin. He is a very good businessman, very crazy Bursaspor fan. He sees we're gonna play against Beşiktaş again, and he sees a caricature in a local newspaper, and the manager of the club back in the time, Yılmaz Vural, is protecting a pearl in the middle of Istanbul Stadium, Beşiktaş Stadium, and their mascot is eagle, and eagle is attacking. He looks at the caricature and he says, "This is ridiculous. This is so weak. Our mascot is how come we are green pearls? We even cannot run away because the fucking pearl doesn't mean we need to find something is more aggressive like our fans." And he goes to home, he turns on to TV, he turns on the National Geographic. There's a documentary over there about in Africa. There's a crocodile is jumping out from the water and kills the target. He says, "That's it. This has to be our mascot." And he goes back to the club and says, he believes that we are changing our mascot to the crocodile. Everybody looks, "Are you mad? there is no fucking crocodile in Bursa. Why we gonna pick an animal which doesn't exist in the country? No, he said, no, no, no, we will do that. Then that year, you guys gonna remember Intertoto. We played in the Intertoto Cup and we're doing very well. We played against Wimbledon in the UK. We won here, and we played the final ish something against Karlsruhe. We lost against them. There was an African player there called Majid Mususi, and he came from a French team. And they when they scored, they were celebrating in a way. All players they are on the ground like crawling, and it looks like a crocodile. And then he said, "Look, even the football players is celebrating that way. This is the message. This team's mascot has to be crocodile. So crocodile shit comes from there."
That's amazing. It's a cool story though, and it's different though again. And if so many club mascots are animals these days, or things that are tied to the city. So it's impressive to then create some kind of myth and some kind of story around why it became a crocodile, but to then take that and turn it into your stadium, I mean, it's just phenomenal, man.
I'll be honest with you, Rory, when I heard the idea, I said, this is the most ridiculous idea.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like the idea. I mean, how the fuck are you going to build a stadium looks like a crocodile? However, I mean, when did they build this? 2010? No.
2015 is completed.
2015, yeah. And we were talking with you, I mean, last week. Wherever I go, any social media platform, I'm seeing this stadium every day, and I'm sick of seeing them, which makes me happy. Anyways, it's a great way to promote your team. It's unique. I've seen some Scottish people. They went to the Bursa just to see and take picture. There are a couple of guys I'm following on Facebook. They do some kind of stories about football culture. They're Scottish, I remember, and they went there just to see the stadium, which is amazing.
I love stuff like that. I would love to see it. I would love to visit and see the club on the ground as well. I think it's
next year. Let's go together. I'll arrange everything. Let's go together. Let's record and let's enjoy it. It's great fun.
I just need a photo in front of the crocodile's head, and that'll be me. I'll be happy with that. But I think one of the kind of themes that have been underlying this episode, and I mean, to be honest, a lot of the recordings we've done this year have been the role of the fans and the role of the fan groups in keeping Bursaspor alive, keeping the club afloat, and just generally promoting what the club do. And I want to ask you guys what your ultras group Texas are actually like, because I mean they're not known to me, so it'll be a chance for me to hear what they're like as well. But just for our listeners who might not be aware of the fans of the club as well, because as we mentioned earlier on, normally the fans of the big three within Turkey, they get most of the limelight for their displays, but Bursaspor, being the fanatically followed club that it is with a very loyal fan base, surely has a very strong ultras group as well.
Okay, all right. I mean, in 1967, they go into a away game against a team called Zonguldakspor, and a group of people from Bursa, lots of buses next to each other, like you remember the Wild West movies? They have the convoys, how they call it? Americans, they call it wagon or something like that.
Wagon,
lots of buses next to each other. They go in there, and in somehow, surprise, surprise, the fight breaks out, and the police officer shouts. Everybody is shouting. Everybody's fighting each other. Police officer says, "What the hell you guys doing? Do you think it's Wild West? Are you coming from Texas? Why are you fighting each other? Why are you doing this mess?" And he starts shouting. And one of the guy hears that, and he says, "Oh, Texas, it's a cool name to call us. Why not?" And Texas name comes from, I think Texas is the first organized fan group in the country, if I'm not wrong. And it's well known in the country. Everybody knows the name Texas, and they're quite fanatical. We all been there, and they always stand behind the goal and never sits down, always shouting and chanting and supporting their team.
I mean, it wasn't only the first organized. I think it was the first supporter group in Turkey.
I think so.
Not only organized. I mean, the first supporter group, and it's nearby 60 years old. And as Uygar said, every one of us comes from Texas. Even if we divided somewhere, everyone.
We
I
are
never
part
watched
of
a game
Texas.
in Bursa. I mean, yes, I did once. That I watched from a balcony. But that's another story. 1986, as we won the cup, I was 8 years old, and I had to go to school. But my friend Junaid and I, we said no, we had to watch that match, and we went to the stadium, and the people that didn't let us in.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they said, yeah, you are too young, you are alone, you can't go with us. And we fuck off, what shall we do? What shall we do? And at that time, the Atatürk Stadium didn't got roofs, it was open. And on the other side of the street, there were some buildings, and there lived some people. And then we started to ring the bells, so even if someone in the upper apartments let us in. And then old lady turned the door. Come on, guys, come on, boys. And we sat on the balcony, and I watched the cup final in Bursa from the balcony.
That's so cool.
We get cakes and lemonades from the other lady. It was so special. And then we started to go out of the apartment, even if the match was ended. But we didn't came out. It was so full. It was fun. And I was 8 years old.
That's brilliant. That's a great story.
As my uncle heard that I didn't go to school, it was a little bit of a problem for me, but doesn't matter.
When you're following your football club, I mean, you've got stories about people who, some of the people who drove from Glasgow to Lisbon to see Celtic play in the European Cup final and stuff
amazing.
like that. But I mean, sitting on a balcony, you get cakes and stuff like that. That's up there. That's up there.
In Texas wise, I remember once the first time I've been in the behind the goal in Texas. We are young, we would like to enjoy the moment, we becoming a boy. I went to the back, I remember, and the hardcore boys, they always in the close to the behind the goal. We cannot get close, but we were trying to fit in. I remember one of my friends, we were looking down. The guy came, one of the leaders, I don't remember who was that, and he slapped him. He said, "Why you are not shouting?" He said, "I came to watch the football." He said, "We are not coming here to watch the football. We come in here to support the team. So now stand up and start shouting with us. Otherwise, I'm going to slap you again." Then I said, "Wow, this is Texas. Okay, this is how it works." I remember every time when we're going to the game, never sit down, always shouting and sweating. There's so many stories, man. So many stories about Texas. Some of them good, some of them bad, but overall it's good.
There is this like typical fan dance or like moves with scarves that it is very
Yeah.
prominent in Bursaspor or Texas. And I was, I guess, 12 years old. I went to a Bursaspor basketball game, and I guess some of the fans didn't have scarves, so they decided to take out my shirt. And instead of like using it as a scarf, like
About this, I've seen a picture from this season. There was a guy, everybody is left holding their scarves, right? He doesn't have the scarf, but he found a little boy. He was lifting the boy like that, and he posted the picture. He said, "We don't have scarf, but we have the boy."
I'm pretty sure that was Celtic, wasn't it? It was. The little kid had the Celtic kit on, so his dad's got him hanging, like that.
Exactly, it's like that. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, it's mad. It's pure passion.
Even one of the craziest thing I saw was it was in the UI Cup, in the Intertoto Cup. Pyro, okay, yeah, they had in Texas flamethrowers. I remember that. I don't know which vegan. I think it was Crater, the match against Crater. They had flamethrowers there. No pyros, flamethrowers. It was crazy.
It's crazy memories.
Unreal. It's amazing. It's nice hearing you guys reminisce, though, because you can see after you tell each story how much it means to all of you, just how much following this club has actually contributed to your lives, and how much it means to you and for your upbringing. And we all know as fanatic football supporters that your football club is your life, and I think that's come across very clearly today.
Yeah. It's part of the life, isn't it? I mean, when I was in Bursa again, every weekend was another chance to support the team, gather with friends. I remember there was a moment we were going away games as well. I mean, it's a entire weekend. You do something, and as we say, we support the team wherever they go. Couple of years ago, our basketball team he started to come to Europe to play in EuroLeague, etc. Not EuroLeague, Euro Cup,
Mm.
and we were going to Italy, Spain, just to support the team because they carry that name. It's not. It doesn't matter even if it's a table tennis team called Bursaspor. We're gonna go and support. It's how it is. It's dedication. It's my wife always say your dedication about. I'm not the only one, by the way. Everybody is the
Yeah.
same
Mm.
about the football. It's something else, and it's not just about. I love football. However, it's the name of the Bursaspor. I made my friends. I mean, I haven't been in Turkey. There was a moment, 15 years, but I went to the one Bursaspor game and I met with my friends, which I've seen them like yesterday, which it shows how much solid background we have. We spent years for the club, good or bad. I mean, we supported, and it's not like the football game for us. It's like a family. It's like a community thing. You build your own community and you try to expand it that way. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to show this, give the same passion to my son. I took him. My son is 10 years old, Jeremy. I took him to Turkey this season to see a Bursaspor game. He was amazed. The noise. I mean, that sound when you enter the stadium, it makes you feel like, oh shit, this is amazing. It's going to be amazing 90 minutes. So it's a cultural
It
thing,
is.
which
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to share.
It's
It is.
cultural heritage. That's what it is.
I met Uygar in Andorra, so 4 years back
Ah,
with Bursaspor, and I had now friends like all over the Europe and with where Bursaspor colonizers. But what?
once, yeah, I mean, once you remember when I went, I was in Munich. I finished my work. It was a free evening, and I posted on Twitter. I said I'm in Munich and I don't know where to go. Is there a Bursaspor fan? We ended up 15 people getting drunk in a Turkish restaurant
Nice.
that night.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
There was another funny story with you, Uygar. You have a Greek friend who is living somewhere in Greek island. So I have some friends, and
Ah, shit.
my
Yeah.
friends meet his friends, and they don't know each other. But the Greek guy says, "Yeah, I know one guy who's supporting Bursaspor," and like they were saying, "Okay, there cannot be that so much people in London who's supporting Bursaspor," and they showed each other the pictures.
It was funny. Yeah, I know a friend who supports Bursaspor. Oh, I know a friend who supports Bursaspor either. It's something unites us, which makes me always proud and happy about Bursaspor.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. It's something that keeps you connected to home. It's something that keeps you connected to your communities and your city as well. And just what you mentioned there, Oygar, about going to the stadium and seeing that these people like. And again, I think it's something that's unique to one club cities, right? And that's not to discredit the incredible atmospheres and identities that cities with two or more football clubs have. But it's unique to one club cities that the entire place, the entire urban conurbation, whatever you want to call it, is entirely united behind one club.
Yeah,
It's unique,
it's
it's special,
yeah.
and
it's unique.
it's that this is where this kind of cultural heritage aspect comes into it. Like you don't get this anywhere else in the world bar football.
That's very true. I mean, I remember the moment I entered. I mean, I still have the same feeling. I was 8 years old. My uncle took me to the stadium. You know, when you go up to the stairs, used to be called Old Stadium, Bursaspor Atatürk Stadium. When you go down tiny bit, you see the pitch and the atmosphere. I remember like yesterday, my body was shaking. It's what is that? And I've been in Bursa last year. I felt exactly the same 40 years ago what I was feeling, but this time I was with my son, and that feeling, and after that many years, I went to the stadium. I've seen my friends; they were shaking my hand. They like they seen me yesterday. I was away 18 years. They say, "Oh, come on, let's sit here," and they were talking to my son. This is something you cannot see every part of your life. I mean, it's difficult to get. So that's why we need to keep. That's why we're trying to do in Europe to get connected, because whoever we are, Bursaspor is the only aspect unites us. Let's keep it together and support the team. That makes us to talk. That makes us to be here now talking to a Scottish guy talking about our football team, which nobody knows in the world. Which how amazing is
I
that?
know, it's incredible. And these are the types of stories that football throws up. But it's always been interesting to me how Bursaspor, the stadium, and Bursaspor, the fans get a mention, but the story of the club never gets told. The story of the title win never gets told. Where the club came from, why the fans are so passionate, and I'm so glad that you guys have come on today to tell us that story. I really do appreciate it, because it's been a phenomenal conversation, and I'm sure many of our listeners will have enjoyed it as well. Is there anything else that you guys want to add just before we finish up for today?
Well, thanks for having us. It has been a really big pleasure to meet you and also talk about our club, and has been amazing. Thank you so much for having us.
That's okay. I'd gladly have you guys back on any time. As I said, thank you for coming on and telling me about your football club as well. As I said a few minutes ago, I can see by your faces how much it means to you all just sitting reminiscing about these stories and talking about Bursaspor. And it's been a fantastic chat. And if you want to come back on at any time for anything, then just let me know. But that'll do us for today. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me today. Thank you very much once again to all of our listeners for tuning in. If there's anything that you want us to cover related to football history or heritage, then just get in touch with us. You can DM us on X, that's @_footyheritage, or you can email us at hello@footballheritage.co.uk as well. That's how this episode came about. Uygar threw me a message. We've been chatting about this for ages, and it's finally happened. So just get in touch if there's anything that you want us to cover. But for now, Uygar, say goodbye.
Thank you so much listening for us. Thank you so much.
No problem. Jaffer, say goodbye.
Thank you. See you.
Fatih, say goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. And I wanted to invite you to go to Bursa for once, and all the listeners. You should do it to yourself.
We should make a trip.
It's amazing.
Company. I'd love to go, and I think I'll definitely look into it next year, since Uygar has extended that offer. I think it'd be fantastic.
Whenever you want.
We'll get some photos.
It will be my pleasure.
No, it'd be my pleasure as well. Thank you. It's goodbye from me as well for now. We'll see you all again next week. Goodbye.